this edition of Performance TV, Tommy and Kathy go back to Las Vegas. It's SEMA, baby.
Thanks for joining us this week here on Performance TV, where we are bringing you week number 3 from SEMA, the Las Vegas Convention Center, looking at all the new products, and we found one that is not only going to make your truck look good, it's going to protect it as well. And Brian from Brocktech, you guys are making these right from the start. They're going to withstand the elements.
Yes, thank you. We start off with 304 stainless steel. When we design our grills, we integrate the tabs into the grill, so there's no welded tabs or bolted on tabs that have a chance to come loose or break off.
And we don't have to worry about rivets because you guys are none of those at all.
Yeah, we decided to go with stainless steel button head bolts with stainless nylock nuts on the backside. So once they're tightened down, they're not coming loose, and nice, solid construction.
And you have several styles to choose from, but the one that I want to point out is what we have right here in front of us, and a lot of the guys and gals have light bars on the truck.
Right, we decided to design the grill to fit the light bars. We don't use a proprietary light bar to actually fit into our grills. We had designed them to fit most of the light bars on the market. So if you already have a light bar on your shelf, you don't have to go out and buy another one just to fit a grill.
That's right, they're going to fit the vast majority.
Yes, that's correct.
A lot of girls like black. I mean, black is a big thing right now, but what about, some shiny stuff?
We also have the Designer Series grills where you're able to choose the brushed stainless look, the mirrored finish, or you can also go a hydrocoating option where if you want the pink grill with the pink camouflage, we have that covered, or we also have the camouflage patterns also. There's over 50 patterns to choose from.
I think Tommy would like to have a pink camouflage one on his truck. That's what I'm thinking. So if folks want to find out more, how can they get in touch with you?
They can go to our website at rocktech.com. That's ROK-TEK.com.
Just one of the many products that we're going to be bringing you here on this week's episode of Performance TV. And Tommy, what do you have for us next?
I'm with Chris Kirsting, the CEO and president of SEMA. This show gets bigger and bigger every year. It seems like I've been here many years, and this year's the biggest by far. How did SEMA come about? When did this all start, and why?
In 1963, you had a handful of basically speed equipment manufacturers who came together. They figured that there are things they could do together that they couldn't do all by themselves. And by the way, one of them is to put on a great show. That first SEMA show they had under the bleachers at Dodger Stadium. Just, tiny little affair, all speed equipment guys. Look what it's become today. It is basically every segment, every different product category for anything for cars and trucks. And we've got about 2,500 companies exhibiting at the SEMA show this year.
Yeah, it's everything aftermarket automotive. I've seen mud flaps and floor mats to the latest race equipment. And it's a big car show. Everybody wants to debut their cars, all their hot rods, their special projects here. This is outstanding for all the people that come to this.
We've got probably 1,500 plus beautifully customized cars and trucks here. And those cars and trucks are showing off the new products that all these manufacturers have worked so hard to bring to the show this year. This show isn't open to the public. It's a business-to-business show. You look behind us here, you see the manufacturers. All these people walking around are retailers, wholesalers, and they're looking for the new products to bring back to their shops so that all these enthusiasts, all the folks who are interested in doing things with their cars and trucks are going to have the new crop of cool stuff for the year.
Well, that's why we bring our cameras on Performance TV here to show you, the public, all the latest and greatest automotive products for your vehicle.
This edition of Performance TV, presented by ARP, is being brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology. AMS, because we care. Pro-M Racing, run with the big boys. Go Light, remote-controlled searchlights and spotlights. And by Pop-Up Hitch, pop-up towing products safe and strong.
Every year at SEMA, it's an annual tradition. Early on the Wednesday morning, it's the NHRA breakfast, bringing in all kinds of drivers and talent. And this year, definitely a lineup. Antron Brown.
How do you do this? You're going to lose the championship in 1 week, catch on fire. I'm already well done, can't get no darker. So you think about all that stuff going on, and I was like, and in the final, even though Bernstein was racing my teammate, you know what I mean? I don't even drink. I said, I'm gonna have a Budweiser just for tonight.
Tony Schumacher, Gary Scelzi, and John Force.
All my career, and as I got older, I was always taught the monster's out there. And I would tell my girls, when that thing catches on fire, you gotta know the cockpit of your car. You gotta know how to, you're the only one that can save yourself till NHRA Safety Safari gets to you. And, because there's a monster and he'll jump up in the front seat with you. And after that crash, my wife said to me, the monster finally got you. Because Kenny Bernstein was driving the monster drink car. Isn't that, that's weird shit when you think about it.
Let me tell you something. It has been a comedy hour here, as you could only imagine, telling all kinds of great stories, and here are a few.
Hey, everybody, welcome. We're glad to have you here. As Alan Reinhardt in the back said, we got some great legends that are here with us, celebrating the 50th anniversary. You remember 1992?
Remember when he
We'll
rolled?
start with that one. Do what?
Yes. Watch it fry. Well, 92 is when he beat me, wasn't it?
Yeah, but do you remember what happened to you during qualifying?
Yeah, he drove
No,
for
elimination.
McDonald's.
Dallas.
McDonald's, that was a hamburger stand from hell.
I won that race.
Gary.
Called Funny Buck. Let me help you, Bob.
Gary,
It was an elimination.
well,
okay.
No, when he flipped the car upside down.
Hey,
You got another story.
Yeah,
How many
well,
times you crashed?
That-
Rental cars? Let me tell you, that year
What car are you talking about?
we had it locked up by Seattle. We thought it was over and we went into test mode. On the first qualifying run, it kicked the rods out. On the second one, it kicked the rods out. Austin Coyle, our choke was stuck. And we said the only way Cruz can pass us, he'd have to win 5 in a row and we'd have to lose 5. And that's exactly what he did. At Dallas, I hit the wall 3 times. Went over, smoking the tires, came over, hit the wall. No, actually cleared it a little, came back out, and then went back again, and it was kind of, the third time I hit it hard, and it was like, my brain just went away. It's like, you're losing, why are you being ignorant? I couldn't accept he was taking me out. And then, at the World Finals, on the burnout, coffee finally kicked in.
Listen to this, Scelzi.
No, on the burnout, on the run, it went out, it was sideways, it came around, and it rolled over on a roof. I'm sliding upside down. I've told this story a million times. And I said, Cruz went on to win the championship. And I love Cruz Petragani. I really do. He's an awesome racer. And I remember yelling on the radio. I told this to the media, I said it on TV. Bernie yelled, I said, I can get him, I can get him. And Bernie Federley said, you're upside down. And he said, it's over. It's over, John. Come on home. I told that story for 3 years. And a guy walked up to me and said, I hate to tell you this, you're so full of shit. He goes, they never had radios in those days. Made it all up.
Welcome back to Performance TV and our special coverage of the 2014 SEMA show here in Las Vegas. Not only finding lots of new products, but a lot of those products are problem solvers, and that's what we found here with Clamp Tight. Rick, you know, when you take a look at the old-fashioned clamps, they just don't do the job like they should. They can't hold the PSI.
Absolutely true. As we know, these come on our old school hot rods, the cars we love the most to drive. A lot of leaks though, and then if you have this one, you're maybe about 60 PSI if you get the perfect position with it. What we've got here, what we do with a clamp tight tool, we'll make a perfect 360-degree seal, holds a little over 3,000 PSI on a barb fitting. Solves a whole lot of problems.
Yeah, we went from, you said about 60 to 3,000?
We went from 60 to a little over 3,000 PSI on a barb fitting.
I just needed to emphasize that a little bit. How easy is it to do this? Can you show us one?
I'd love to show you one. Absolute piece of cake. So we'll start our project. We're going to take a piece of wire, fold it so that the ends meet. Gives us a nice noose in our wire. We wrap that around our project. Come underneath that noose we just made. And I'm going to straighten this out so we get a nice clean look while we're done. I'm going to come around both sides one more time. coming underneath the noose each time. So this is what we look like so far. Now I'm going to take the nose of the tool and attach it to the project. We got a notch there in the nose of the tool. That's going to grab this little noose we just made. So we're going to put the tool in the project. We're going to bring these wires across the top of the tool. So this is what we look like so far. We're going to bring these wires together. It's going to be our tensioning point. So what we're going to pull on, that's what's going to give us that even distribution to get that amount of pressure to cover that PSI. So as I turn our T-bar handle here, these pins are pulling back, and that's giving us an even distribution as we pull the wire through this clamp we're making. As we get a little tension, we can straighten this out. Of course, we've probably got a nice custom rod we're building on, so we want to have a nice clean look. Also, if you're working on that barb fitting, you can take a second and get it down in the valleys of that barb. So
wow, this is just really easy to put all this together here. If we wanted to find out more about getting this tool, we can just hop on your website?
Absolutely, www.clamptightTools.com.
And there you have it, just one of the many great products here at SEMA. Man, I'll tell you what, the worst thing you can have is to go out in the garage and you have let the battery die in your favorite hot rod, your motorcycle, whatever it may be, or even getting stuck alongside of the road. Well, Battery Tender can help you with all that, so it will not happen. And Mike, what a great selection of products you have to take care of those things.
Well, thanks a lot. This has been our hallmark for years. We charge and protect batteries and prolong the life of batteries. That's what we do, and we try to keep it simple.
Well, you have a ton of different products. We're going to highlight just a few of them today, and we're going to start right off with your lithium switcher here.
Yeah, this battery charger is a 12-volt, 6-volt switchable unit. But not only that, it switches from a flooded AGM type or AGM type battery to a lithium battery. So it's a double switchable, and so it can have essentially 4 modes in one charger. This happens to be a 1.25 amp unit. We also will be selling this in a 4 amp unit. So a lot of versatility.
Absolutely, and the last thing we want to do is come out and find out that our battery is dead and we're in the middle of nowhere. But if we have one of these in our vehicle, we ought to be all set.
This is today's jump box. As you might recall, there was the 40-pound jump box that you would have to put in your trunk and it would rattle around. Well, this is the 21st century version of that item. This will provide 400 cranking amps, additional cranking amps. It will do it about 6 or 7 times before it needs to be recharged, and therefore it is a product that can get you out of a lot of trouble if you're stranded on the side of the road.
And very quickly, last but not least, a 5 amp.
5 amp unit, great for the larger batteries, Odyssey type batteries that maybe need a little bit more current, but this is a jump for us up into the 5 amp unit, so it's great for automotive products.
I tell you what, just barely scratching the surface of what Battery Tender has to offer. Check out their website at batterytender.com. We are always looking good on Performance TV, and Don, you guys are always looking for new things, coming up with ideas, and a lot of times we'll maybe get a little snag or something. You guys have a new fabric for that.
Yes, what we've done is develop a fabric. These are work shirts. People don't realize they're beautiful, but they are around race cars and grease and all the things you have to deal with. So we've come up with a fabric that will take the durability factor also, besides the beautiful factor.
All these different crew shirts, all the different designs, you guys are all doing this right in-house, made in the USA. But say, Joe Q. Public wants to be able to dress up like a crew member. What do you have for them?
Well, we do a lot of replica jerseys also. Let's say you have a favorite team at the track. We also do replica jerseys, which is one of our hottest products that we're selling now. So you can look like the real driver. Sublimation is a big thing. You guys can do so much with it. And it's not just shirts like, say, what we're wearing right now, but a lot of other things too. Oh, yes, we do. The largest growth factor for us right now is women's apparel. We're doing a lot of burnout, tank tops, a lot of really nice pieces with sublimation. And you talk about all the different burnouts and stuff like that, but what about the one special line you guys have, Stupid Fast Racing? It's one of the hottest growing lines in the racing market right now. At all the tracks we sell it, you can also buy it online. It's just phenomenal how fast it's growing. It's an attitude and a lifestyle. Even if you're not into racing, maybe you have a shop or maybe you have a company where you're going out and doing displays like this, you guys can put something together and really make the team look good. Sure. Besides doing small teams, we do the large teams. We also do corporate. A lot of it, when you can show a perfect image of your brand or your company, sublimation is the ultimate way to go. All right. You can find out more just by hopping on their website.
When you think Amanda products, you may think speed hooks, but they are a whole lot more, Lisa.
Yes, they are. We have these great steel doors here. We also have the mirrors, the power mirrors that go with these doors. We have a front and rear bumper system in which they are modular, and you can remove pieces of it, the wings of it, but still have your tow hook.
And you can find out about all of these great products, and you're always coming up with something new, something to play hard, work hard. Go to amandaproducts.com and see it for yourself.
It's time for us to say goodbye to SEMA for this year, and when we return, we'll be back in the garage. Stay with us.
This week's ARP Quarter Mile Quiz question comes from Ricardo in Pennsylvania. Ricardo asks, in the 1960s, why were a certain class of cars like Willys, Angelias, and Henry J's called gassers?
Well, Ricardo, thanks for the question. I got to be honest, that was a little bit before my time, but back in the 60s, NHRA had a popular class for the gassers, where you could get away with a whole lot of stuff as long as it was running gas. And the old Willys, the old Anglias, they just fit right into it. That's why there was a ton of them on the racetrack. Thanks for taking the time to write in.
If you have a question for the ARP Quarter Mile Quiz, send it to the address on the screen. If we use your question on the air, you'll receive a free ARP Quarter Mile Quiz shirt. This edition of Performance TV, presented by ARP, is being brought to you by Dip Your Car, change the color of your car. Amanda Products, connecting the USA with the world one project at a time. Lamb's Innovative Solutions, offering a new DA polishing system for removal of scratches and swirls. Nyquist Solutions, turbo cleaner and power restorer. And by Stage 8, the world's best locking fastener.
Welcome back to Performance TV. You know, Tommy, with all of the vehicles that are coming out of the manufacturers today, you really wouldn't think one of the biggest weak links might be in the ignition.
Well, they build all this power, but yet sometimes they forget you got to have a lot of spark for that power. So today's products here, Weapon X has brought a lot of neat innovations to the ignition system for all these cars. We've got a Shelby 500. I'm wanting to get some of this stuff on here, so you guys talk a little bit about it. I'm going to get busy working.
Yeah, I'm pretty anxious. And Mark, this is a Ford part here, but what car? Something like we would find back here?
Yes, exactly. This ignition coil actually directly came out of the Ford GT 500. It is a stock OEM ignition coil. Basically, what Weapon X did is we came up with something called direct fire technology. What you're going to find here on every Motorcraft ignition coil is basically the ignition coil connects to the spark plug using a spring interconnect. You've got a lot of resistance in the circuit, and several manufacturers do the same thing. So what we do is we redesign the ignition coil from the ground up. So we have an axial design using direct fire technology that extends the power stage of the ignition coil and attaches it directly to the spark plug.
Show us the end of the spark plug going in the OEM first.
It's loose, poor connection, bad conductors. It's just a bad design overall.
Yeah, now check this out. This is pretty sweet.
With the Weapon X stuff, locked in, not going anywhere.
Didn't I hear something about these are in the 1000s?
Exactly. The Shelby 1000 produces an amazing 1200 horsepower. And in the Shelby 1000, they actually use our ignition components.
So we are going to be installing the same ones that are in the Shelby 1000s in this Shelby 500.
Exactly.
Oh, this owner is going to be really happy.
With all of our components, what we try to do is create a spark plug or create an ignition coil that is highly efficient. We use actually an aviation style triple iridium electrode. This actually ensures a reliably lit combustion event every time. Most spark plugs come with internal resistors of 5,000 to 10,000 ohms. In a lot of our products, what we do is completely eliminate the resistance or lower the resistance to about 2,500 ohms.
Let's check in and see how Tommy's coming along.
Well, I got all my coils out, and I heard you guys talking about spark plugs.
Got spark plugs. Here's your new coils. And as a matter of fact, Mark's got our spark plugs for us. Now, why did you start on this side over here and leave this for me?
You guys need to get busy. You got a little work to do over there?
Yes, we do. All right.
I mean, this was relatively easy.
The most complicated part of the whole process is just pulling off the intake.
You could just replace the coils without the plugs, but if you're going to do it, you might as well do the whole work.
Exactly. The whole point, like I said, is to improve the efficiency so that we can take that input energy from the ignition coil and create more spark energy.
And now it's time to install the coils. Is there any tips or tricks to installing these Weapon X coils?
A lot of people have a problem installing the ignition coils properly, and that's because of the direct fire technology. It makes it more difficult for the ignition coil to install. A lot of people just drop the coil down in there. As a result, a lot of people just end up putting the ignition coil in the engine, leaving it sit on the top of the spark plug. After a couple of weeks, it starts backing off the spark plug, and of course, you get a misfire, right? So normally what we suggest to our customers is spread a little dielectric grease around the rib portion of the ignition coil.
I went ahead and put some grease on all the boots of the coils so they slide down in there a little easier. Before we're going to put these in, I want to reconnect the wires. So once you put them in, it'll be a little tight to get the wires on there. So I'm going to put them on before I put them in. Nice and snug, snap fit. Now, you want to slide it back down in there, but one thing Mark talked about was once you get it in there, a lot of people just push them in, okay, that was good, but you want to make sure that the connection is solid. So you have to push on it, and you'll feel it snap in. There, I felt it slide right over the spark plug. Good, solid connection.
And there we go. Well, I'll tell you what, Tommy, you're pretty much getting done over there. I've got all the new coils put in. Could you finish this up for me? I've got some really cool stuff that he brought that I still haven't had a chance to talk about yet.
Weapon X basically created a division called Takai Racing. For example, this is an ignition coil off of a Kawasaki KX450. And what we've done is we've replaced the ignition coil and ignition wire with just an ignition coil. So this ignition coil would actually connect directly to the spark plug. Again, that's part of our direct fire technology. We reduce the amount of resistance in the circuit, we improve electrical efficiency of the ignition coil, and create a hotter spark, a longer duration spark, which typically nets about 1 to 2 horsepower per coil.
You also have a big difference here between your wires and stock wires.
Exactly. Not only do we do ignition coils, spark plugs, we do ignition wires, plasma booster right here that we have that increases the voltage to the ignition coils. So again, it's all about increasing the efficiency of the ignition circuit.
That's awesome. At weaponxperformance.com, you can find out about what Tommy and I just installed in this vehicle, all of the other products that Mark has brought to show us today, and
I'm ready to go for a ride.
let's go. All right.